Hey everybody, what's going on? Turtle Sage here, just here to bring you guys some knowledge, to drop some game on you. Alright, so what I'm here to talk about today is competition, tournaments. As you know, my channel is dedicated to martial arts, and what better way to test your abilities is by competing against people you don't know. That's the point of tournaments. Think of it as a game. You play basketball, football, soccer, what have you. That's a great way to just test your abilities. That said, I myself have been doing it for a decade. And to show you I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, here's some medals, gold. Obviously, I know how to win. I've been around, and I can at least hopefully give you some game on what to expect and what to work towards. Doesn't mean, that you don't know your stuff or whatever. It is a game. There's rules. You know, Circumstances change in each setting we're in. That's okay. Now, with that said, if you are doing katas, like, okay, if you do karate, taekwondo, I've competed against them at the Big D, but I do mostly Chinese martial arts tournaments like ICMAC, and I've done that. I've done tournaments in Beijing, Las Vegas, Orlando, Chicago, Dallas, St. Louis. So, been around, and when you do that, you learn things. Okay, so back to competing with katas. Say, okay, if you are doing Shaolin, Hungar, Bagua, Tai Chi in my case, there's certain things you gotta look for. Okay, you gotta train towards. What the judges are looking for is essentially technical proficiency with a little bit of flair. So you do the forms, and you like, okay, if I'm doing a Tai Chi form, they're looking for the principles of Tai Chi. Sink, go slow, be smooth, round, and continuous, have full body alignment, don't be stiff, and all of that good stuff. But then you add your own little bit of flair to it. So if I were doing, say, I don't know, straight sword, I would do, or broadsword, I do a lot of flourishes and spins, but I would maintain the integrity of the art. So I'm not leaning too much, I'm not bending my back, I'm not strong, I'm soft, but powerful. And if you add that, the perfect combination of those two, you win. You got to just do that better than everybody else. Now, moving on to what y'all really care about, fighting. And there's many different events of fighting you can do. You can do point sparring, do continuous sparring, you can do grappling tournaments, you can even do full contact. Okay, now if you're going to do point sparring, the things you need to train for are, speed blitzing, i.e., get there first. So what you need to do, it's think of it like, okay, you watch the old cowboy movies or samurai movie. It's quick draw, and with that, I would recommend working on a quick jab, a back fist, a roundhouse, your side kick, maybe even a hook kick, and work on your footwork, getting in and out. So with that said, you don't want to be flashy. Keep it simple. Just hit, don't get hit. Now moving on to continuous sparring, the name of the game is control the ring, hit, don't get hit, but outlast your opponent. And don't bloody them up too much. Don't knock them out, because this isn't full contact. So you're going to wear your typical karate gloves, your helmet, your foot gear, and your shin guards, and your mouthpiece and your gear. You do that for point sparring too, but it's the same there. So with that said, you want to work on things like your cardio, but also getting there first and good defense and countering. So it's purely striking, but yeah, just work on that. Tag them, don't get tagged. Simple. Work on your cardio, work on your conditioning though, because sometimes you might have to fight multiple opponents back to back. I had a case one time when I was in Chicago and I fought. The judges, didn't feel like giving me a break, so they're like, no, you fight back to back to back to back. I had to fight 9 rounds. 9 rounds straight, no break. Even pro fighters get a break, so they were cheating, whatever. But I also chastised myself for not having proper conditioning. I should have been ready for anything. So keep that in mind. Now on to full contact sparring. If you're going to do full contact, you have to, it's condition, and work on your defense. Defense saves lives. If you've watched the Floyd Mayweather fight, you know this. Hit, don't get hit, but have good power. Build your strength up. Get your technique, work on your slipping drills. Work on all of that. This is, if you're doing Sanda, you're fighting on the raised platform, and you have to have ring IQ. You have to develop that with all of that. But the raised platform is another thing. If you get knocked off that platform, it's the equivalent of like, okay, if you're fighting on a cliff or something, you get knocked off, you're dead, right? Moving on. If you're doing grappling tournaments, you need to roll. And this is an interesting thing. You can win through strength and you can win through technique. Good technique with a combo of good strength will power you through this. If you don't have good technique, you're going to get tied up like a pretzel. If you don't condition, you're going to wear yourself out. So, with that said, it's the same thing. It's the art of the submission. You basically have to do it. The best way to get good at fighting is to do it. And really that's what it boils down to. Are you fighting enough? And unfortunately, a lot of Kung Fu has this reputation of not being good at fighting. Kung Fu people can fight. You just have to, know the applications. You have to have good conditioning. And hopefully you don't come from a McDojo. Alright? Okay, now, in my case, if you're doing push hands. Push hands is like kind of a way, like a game that Tai Chi people play. You basically try to unbalance each other through, finding where they're off balance and pushing them or pulling them or, whatever. You can't grip them, but you can do a move like this and toss them, So with that said, what you need to work on is your standing meditation. Why do I say this? A standing meditation helps develop your posture. It helps develop your root. If you have a strong root, you can't be moved. If you can develop that you got to develop that sensitivity. You develop that sensitivity, you can counter whatever your opponent is bringing to you. And it actually works the same way with full-on takedowns and submission fighting. So if you do that, you got to work on that. You're working on standing meditation. You've got to do all of that. And then you've got to work on your silk reeling if you do Chen style. You've got to do all that. So you have to be dealing with living opponents. There is no special form that's going to get you through all this. You have to fight people. You have to fight different types of people. If you fight the same person, you're going to get stale. You're going to get stagnant. You've got to do all of that. Now, moving on, that pretty much covers the fighting portion. Now, how do you deal with biased judges? The best thing to do is just not sweat it too much. Just do your best. The way I see it, if a person has to cheat like that, you won anyway. They're telling you you're better, you're superior, yada yada yada. So, best thing to do is not to sweat it. Remember who that person is. They're messed up. You're not messed up. And just, go along and just deal with it. Oh, one more thing. Back to the fighting portion. I forgot to say this. If you're dealing in Sanda, if you're a kung fu person, work on your takedown game. Do not attempt Sanda if you do not have some sort of grappling experience. And just work on your takedown game. Work on your root. Same thing. Now, in conclusion, I must say I have enjoyed my adventures across the world, meeting new people, testing my abilities. I recommend this to anyone who is serious about being a true master of the craft. You have to compete with people. It's but the nature of the beast. I know this spiritual thing. Oh, you shouldn't be fighting. Well, this is where I am in my existence. Tournament is a great way to test your abilities. It's like if you're a musician, if you never played for anyone, how do you know you're good? Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And with that said, I hope you guys soaked up some real game and learned something from it. This is Turtle Sage, signing off.